Hey everyone, so have you ever wondered how a company goes from just a simple question, like, hey, what's going on with X, to a really complex, data-driven solution? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify that entire journey, step by step. And this quote, man, it really gets to the heart of it. This whole thing isn't just about fancy code and complicated algorithms. It's about making a real-world impact. Solving the tangible problems that businesses and people face every single day. So the big question is, how do you actually do it? How do you make that leap? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. We're going to walk through the exact roadmap professionals use to turn some vague idea into a tool that actually creates value. Okay, so first up, and this is probably the most important part of the whole shebang, you have to start with the why. Every single successful data project begins not with a mountain of data, but with a crystal clear understanding of the problem you're trying to solve. And this is just so true. Think about it. You could build the most accurate, the most sophisticated model the world has ever seen, but if it doesn't actually address the real business need, it's completely worthless. A solution without a problem. So what does this first phase actually look like? Well, it's all about deep conversations. It's about getting in a room with the stakeholders and asking the right questions like, who is this actually for? Why does this even matter? And what does a win look like here? It's all about translating a fuzzy business need into a concrete, measurable goal. And here is a perfect example of that transformation in action. You go from a really broad, almost philosophical business question, why are our customers leaving, to something super specific and actionable. Okay, let's build a model to predict which customers are likely to leave. See the difference? Now we have a target. All right, so you've got your mission locked down. What's next? Well, now it's time to gather your raw materials. It's time to go find the data. Yeah, I mean, this sounds kind of obvious, right? But it's the absolute truth. Without data, all you have is an opinion. Data is the fuel that's going to power this entire engine from here on out. And this data can come from, well, pretty much everywhere. It could be hiding in company databases, sitting in old spreadsheets, or you might need to pull it from an API or even scrape it from the web. The goal is to gather all the relevant pieces of the puzzle you need to start painting a complete picture. Okay, now we get to one of the most critical and, let's be honest, often the most time-consuming phase of the project, cleaning and prepping the data. It's like you've gathered all your raw ingredients, but now you have to do the prep work. For any chefs out there, this is your mise en place, getting everything chopped, sorted, and ready before you even think about cooking. And we have to be super clear about this. Real-world data is never perfect. It's almost always a mess, filled with errors, missing values, and all sorts of inconsistencies. So this step isn't just some chore you can rush through. It is absolutely necessary if you want a reliable result. The bottom line is this. The quality of what comes out is 100% dependent on the quality of what you put in. You've heard the saying, garbage in, garbage out, and it has never been more true than right here. If you feed your model messy data, you're going to get a messy, unreliable model. There are just no shortcuts. Now, within this phase, there's this really cool kind of creative step called feature engineering. This is where you use what you know about the business to create new, smarter data points. So for instance, instead of just looking at individual purchases, you might create a totally new feature called total customer spend or days since last purchase. It's all about making the data work smarter for you. All right, with our data all cleaned up, prepped, and smartly engineered, we can finally move on to the part that everybody thinks of when they hear data science. It's time to actually build and test the model. And the key here isn't just grabbing the fanciest, most complex algorithm off the shelf. No, it's about choosing the right tool for the specific job you have. Are you trying to predict a number, like a price, or classify something, like yes or no, or maybe find hidden groups in your data? Each one of those tasks needs a different kind of tool. So here's a fundamental concept you've got to understand. You have to split your data. You use the majority of it, we call that the training data, to teach the model how to find patterns. But then you hold back a smaller, totally unseen piece, the testing data, to grade its performance. It's literally like giving your model a final exam on stuff it has never seen before to find out if it truly learned the lesson. And this is basically the model's report card. You get these metrics that tell you exactly how it did. Things like accuracy tell you how often it was right overall. Precision tells you When it predicted yes, how often was it actually yes? This isn't about a gut feeling. This is hard evidence that tells you if your model is hitting the goals you set way back in step 1. But wait, the journey doesn't end with a good report card. A brilliant model with an A+ score doesn't do anybody any good if it just sits on a laptop. The final phase is all about putting it to work and then continuing to learn from it. This is so important. Deployment is the process of taking that model out of the lab and plugging it into a real business process. Maybe it goes into an app, a website, or an internal dashboard. This is the moment, right here, when the project finally starts generating actual real-world value. And this right here perfectly illustrates why the job is never truly done. The real world changes, right? Customer behavior shifts, new products come out, and over time, your once great model's performance is going to degrade. We call this model drift. And it means you have to constantly keep an eye on your model and retrain it with new data to keep it sharp and relevant. And finally, through this entire process, from start to finish, there's one golden rule. You have to be able to communicate what you're doing. You have to translate all your complex technical work into a clear story about business impact. Because if the stakeholders who need to use your solution don't understand it, or worse, don't trust it, it's going to fail. End of story. So there you have it. That's the whole workflow. It's a complete repeating cycle. You start with a problem, you gather and clean your data, you build and test a solution, and then you launch it and monitor it, all while communicating its value along the way. It really is a journey from a simple question to a powerful tool. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. This workflow, it isn't just some technical process. It's a really powerful framework for solving problems in general. So now that you have the map, think about your own world, your work, your community. What's the first problem you'd want to solve?